Okay. All right, you guys. Oh, there we go. Sorry, Mandy. I am really excited about this topic. And the reason I wanted to do this topic tonight is because I have a lot of people on the screen that want a really big month, and people watching this are, we've got people that are ready to move. And so I wanted to talk about something that I learned about that really only affects high achievers. So if you're on this call, this applies to you. Okay. So I'm just telling you, I was writing these notes and I'm like, this reminds me of this person. This reminds me of me. This reminds me of, this other person. And so what the impact of learning about this is not to dive deeper into it to where it becomes lots of people coming in, guys. I'm sorry. Not to acquiesce to it or succumb to it, but to be aware of it. So when we see things that aren't serving us, we can call them out and we can just, be aware how it's showing up in our lives. Okay. We just had a lot come in. So I'm going to repeat for just, guys, we're talking about imposter syndrome tonight, and this really affects people who are high achievers, people who are, I'll describe it here in just a second. So really what it is it's a perceived fraudulence that involves feelings of self-doubt and personal incompetence that persist despite the education, experience, and accomplishment. So what this is saying is you're doubting yourself despite the facts. Okay. So you might show up and the thing that helps this is action. Okay. Action is going to cure this every time. So why am I bringing this up? Because we have the ability to have those sheets that keep us in action no matter what we're thinking about ourselves or our businesses. So it's really like committing to those sheets or to some kind of activity that you're going to show up to and you're going to commit to and you're going to remain accountable to no matter how you're feeling. And that is how you can start to override this. So, action really is the best antidote for it. So you might be thinking, kind of as we describe this, there can be things that are and aren't imposter syndrome. So the way you know if it's imposter syndrome is if it is a persistent or nagging or obsessive thought that is not in alignment with the way other people feel about you. And if you just did not have a thing that went ding, I do not even know, because I am staring at a screen of people who are absolutely phenomenal. And you're like, I don't know. And literally no one else would describe you the way you're believing about yourself from time to time. So that tells you that this sneaks in, but we have so many ways, so many things that we can do for this. So, also, not aligning with your education, right? But not aligning with your experience. So, you might say to yourself really like in a rudimentary way, like, I just got lucky. I just got lucky. Like, I just got lucky. I just fell into it. Everyone's going to learn that I don't really have the skills. I'm just getting lucky and it's going to run out. Right? Have you ever thought anything like that? Have you ever thought, okay, so I know that I'm doing well right now, but what's around the bend is that I'm going to fall on my face. And so we have ways that we get to confront that, but the causes really of imposter syndrome, nobody is going to want to hear this, but the causes really are growing up in an environment where, achievement and praise is a really big deal, or over praise and then over criticism, right? So you kind of second guess, like, am I doing a good job? Am I not doing a good job? And I don't want to say it's always our parents. Sometimes it's societal pressures. Sometimes you had a teacher that just like jacked you up somehow. Just, you know what I mean? Like, and anybody can do that to you. Or, you know, a well-meaning family member, you know, it doesn't have to be your parents, but it's some experience that causes you to question your skills and abilities. A lot of times too, we participate in this. Okay. So it's not just our parents. It's not just society. You know, we're not blaming. We're just finding the cause of where this started. Okay. So there are 5 types of this imposter syndrome. I'm going to briefly read them. I have them on my phone. But, you know, again, remember that imposter syndrome is only imposter syndrome if your beliefs about yourself are in direct misalignment with what others know to be true about you, what your experience or your education is. So it's, again, questioning your abilities no matter what the facts are. Okay. And I don't know if you guys feel like this has like affected you on any level, or you have been doing really great in your plexus business, and then all of a sudden you're like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I don't have any information. Like, I remember this type of thing even showing up. This is going to make me, I'm a huge nerd. I know you guys know this with my journalism, but I also was in debate. Nerd. And I remember going to a debate tournament, like a debate camp, a debate tournament. And I got so freaked out because it was my turn in front of this whole room of people who I perceived were smarter than me. And I lost every recollection on how to do anything. Like, I was just like so embarrassed. But it was because I was not remembering, I wasn't believing what was true about me. I was believing that I just lost it, that I didn't really have it. Okay. So, I'm going to get to these, really quickly about the different, types of imposter syndrome, because I think that they will, you know, not everybody is the same with this and the way it shows up. And I want to talk about these because I believe that if you can see yourself in one of these, again, that knowledge is power. You can call it out. Right? I've got my tidbits at the very end that are if you've been coached by me, this is going to be something you've heard before. The first one is the perfectionist. So you focus primarily on how you do things, to the point where you demand perfection of yourself in every aspect of your life. But since perfection isn't always realistic, you can't meet these standards. Instead of acknowledging the hard work you've put in, because it doesn't get to that perfectionist state, we're invalidating ourselves totally, right? Okay. So the next one is the natural genius. So you've spent your life picking up new skills with little effort, and you believe you should understand new material and process it right away. So if you're struggling with anything and it's not coming quickly to you, all of a sudden you're unqualified. That's what you're kind of doing to yourself. Your belief is that competent people can handle anything without difficulty. I have a daughter, she was here. She would be like, this is me. If it doesn't come easy, it's over. Okay. So if that was somebody like you, or that, you know, you're identifying with that. So the next one is the rugged individualist or the soloist. You believe you should be able to handle everything by yourself. Okay. You can't achieve success. If you can't achieve it independently, you consider yourself unworthy. Like, if you need help, you're feeling like something's wrong with you, or you're hard on yourself, believing that, you know, assistance is just a normal part of life or experiences. Okay. The next one is the expert. Before you can consider your work a success, you want to learn everything there is to know on the topic. Okay. So do you guys see how this is very limiting? And we might see this show up a lot in Plexus. I don't know if you've seen, or, you know, there was anybody on your team, or this has shown up for you, but like, if, you know, very vulnerably, like, I love the ingredient thing. It comes very naturally to me. I'm very interested in it, but a lot of people that, you know, maybe were my level ones have told me, like, I can't do what you do. I'm not, you know, so I can't do it. You know, for an example, but where this turns into a negative thing is seeing, you know, or wanting to be that expert and believing that you can't be successful without all of the answers, all of the knowledge, and it's invalidating you. Okay. And so the very last one is the superhero. So you link competence to your ability to succeed in every role you hold. Okay. Student, friend, employee, parent. Failing to successfully navigate the demands of these roles simply proves that you're inadequate. If you're not nailing it on everything, it's over, right? You're a failure because you're not nailing literally everything. And maybe you're sitting here thinking, I'm all of them. I don't know. Maybe you're sitting here kind of feeling like you're all of them. But here's what I want you to understand is that, you know, you're not alone in feeling this. And I want to bring this up because a lot of times people don't like to talk about this because they're like, I don't want people to know that I feel like I'm a fraud. I don't want people to know that I feel like I don't belong. I don't want the shame. Okay. And so we're going to bust through that. We don't have to feel that way. We don't have to accept that that's our reality. And so, how do I feel like you need to get through this? This is what my, we're letting one more person in, guys. So, my little tidbits or the way that I really, when I was reading this and I was, marinating in it and I was thinking about it, I deal with, or we all deal with high achievers in this business, people who want more for their life, people who are going for it, people who believe that they, are going to do big things, and people who know that they're going to do big things, that are doing big things. But what can occur is that, these feelings will stop us from time to time. So if it's not showing up in that perfectionism way, we're really excelling in plexus. And then all of a sudden, we're having to outsource buying lunch for our kids. And we're not like, everything's not perfect. We really start to invalidate ourselves and not show that grace and that radical acceptance for the skills and the goodness that we possess inside of us. So the way that I believe that we can get through this is that remembering that luck is an illusion. Okay. Luck is an illusion. It doesn't exist. Have you seen that quote that says that my favorite thing about luck is I found that the harder I worked, the more I had of it. Okay. Luck doesn't exist. So believing that you got lucky to where you're at, that you stumbled to the top, you fell to the top, that you got lucky by signing somebody up that just wanted the business. You got lucky by, falling into a situation where you signed 20 people that month. You got lucky and got to the top of the company. It's not reality. Okay. And you trying to invalidate yourself is only punishment, and it's ignoring the facts. Okay. And the experience that you have. So remembering that luck is an illusion. The second one is accepting that our divine path and these roles that we're in were selected for us. We didn't get lucky. We didn't just fall into this. This was identified for us, and we were selected perfectly for this. Now, are our thoughts and our issues and are all the things going to get in the way sometimes? Yeah. Okay. Like everything that you do in this business or any, deadline or goal oriented, endeavor, your thoughts are so much a part of it that you are the one that literally stops it, because we know that God does not put limits on us. Okay. We are the ones that impose those limits. And so just accepting that this path was created for us. Okay. And what is meant for us will never miss us. Okay. We overemphasize our importance, but we are a speck. We are being used as vessels, and remembering that all we have to do is show up. Yes, we're going to goal set. Yes, we're going to have, weekly goals. Yes, we're going to, do hard things. Yes. Okay. That's how we get to show up to this. But the path and the equipment that is in us already, was already placed, was already there. So you don't have to feel the pressure of getting lucky, because it was already laid out. Right. Okay. And then again, you've heard that if you've been with me, you've heard me say this, but showing that radical love for that kid inside of you that it was unsure how to measure success. Okay, because that's all this is a little kid in there not looking at the facts and the experience and all of the evidence of the success. It's just believing that there has to be more and there has to be more and there has to be more. And this might be good over here, but if this isn't good over here, it's not enough. Okay. That if I was strong enough, I'd be doing this on my own. But look, I have to have everybody's help, right? This is not reality, especially in this business. I certainly hope that that limiting belief or that version of imposter syndrome is not in you, because you will never go to the top with the belief that you can do it all by yourself. And maybe you don't want to go to the top. That's okay too. But you will never be as successful as you could be believing that you can do it alone. This is not designed to be an alone thing. Go sell makeup. I'm not trying to be mean. I know that they do teams over there too, but like, go do something else. Like, this is a leadership position. This is busting those negative, unserving thoughts that are in you so that you can help others do it. Okay. So radical love for that little kid who is like, I don't know, I'm just, right? Like, this all was laid before us, laid inside of us a long time ago. There's nothing wrong with us. Okay. There's nothing invalid about us, but the patterns that are existing in us today are evidence of experiences we had a long time ago. And again, this is not like knocking your parents. This isn't anything like that, because all the experiences in your life contribute to the stories and the soundtracks that you're telling yourself. Okay. So the next thing is like, obviously, what do the facts say? We talk about this a lot in my mindset coaching with how feelings really take over. Feelings are normal, emotions are normal. But what I want you to do is when you're feeling those things or you're feeling like it's not enough and you're like, oh, thanks for, I know I went diamond, but it wasn't me, it was my team. Like, how many times, right? You want to deflect. You don't want to take any ownership of it, because what would that say about you? There is a way to acknowledge the help of others, but to acknowledge that you worked hard and you hit a goal. Both the duality can exist. So what we want to do is look at what the facts say. Meaning, did I work hard? I feel like I didn't even work hard. I didn't even do anything. I feel like nothing even happened. Okay, but what do the facts say? So the facts may agree with you. And that's where you get to show up and change, right? Show up and change what you do if you want a different result. But what if the facts tell you, I reached out to this many people, I mentored this person, I was called into this meeting so that I could help this person, rank advance, like, right? We get to show up to this and just really look at what the facts are. And guys, I suggest you write them down. Write down what you do. If you're really having a hard time with this, believing that you're not working hard enough, write it down. Okay? Because if you're somebody who's working so hard that you forget what you do, and we're not worried about this deflecting your hard work. What we want you to do is be able to celebrate and acknowledge that you are enough. You're bringing enough to the table so that you don't constantly feed that inner self and feed it with negativity and the thought that it's not enough what you're doing. Because when you're stepping into your true, when you're stepping into absolute acceptance of who you are and the good, and this is going to come just in a second, but knowing those strengths, doubling down on those, you'll feel more fulfilled. But, writing them down if you need to. Allowing yourself to feel it. This is something that we're not going to erase this from ourselves. I saw a couple of these articles. It was so funny. It was like, how can we get rid of it? Okay, well, that's not reality. Okay. We're not getting rid of it. If we could get rid of it, we would have written a check and we would have gotten rid of it. It's a thought pattern that exists that is really just not acknowledging the facts. And so we get to show up and we get just to allow ourselves to feel like, I literally hate that I do this to myself. I hate feeling this way, but I feel it. And I think it's because I wanted a different result. I think it's because I believed I should have done more. I think it's because whatever it is, guys, but just letting yourself feel it and just acknowledging like, I always feel like I'm not doing enough. And then I write it down and look at the facts and know that I worked really hard. Right? How can you just take that simple task to your monthly work or your weekly work or your daily work so that you're feeling really positive, right? Or you're feeling really like convinced that you're doing what you wanted to do. Lay it out, define it. I want to do this worksheet every day, or I want to, whatever you want to do. And when you identify the things that you want to be doing with like activities and actions and all that with like an IPA sheet or however you want to do it, when you can cross those things off, like it's a feeling of euphoria. It's really an endorphin rush when you can like cross some of those things off. So if you're not doing that and you're just spiraling in a place where you feel like you're constantly not good enough, show up to yourself in a way that allows you to monitor and document what you do. Period. Okay. Okay. I couldn't read it for a minute. I'm like, well, that we're going to have to skip that one. But I figured it out. Acknowledging your innate gifts. Okay. And just knowing that you are built differently than other people, and to measure yourself based on the way that you would measure, yourself against someone else or what you're seeing in someone else. It's super an illusion, and it's not really going to ever get you to that true abundance, right? So you have gifts that other people don't have. It's just true. I have gifts that you don't have. I have weaknesses that are your strengths. We're all built differently, and yet we're all brought here. So remembering again from the top of my suggestions, like you are brought here on purpose. There are no accidents. And so how can we double down on really being able to document what is working well, what we're doing that we're proud of, however that looks, but then also remembering that your innate gifts are different than others. And that when you lean into that, you're able to absolutely be the grandest, most abundant version of yourself. Okay. And then the last one is, which we've all heard this before, you get to choose what to believe. You get to decide what to believe. Okay. So if your brain is telling you it's not enough, this isn't, I'm not doing enough. A lot of times what I find is that when we're feeling like it's not enough, what I'm doing isn't enough, you're not even showing up to the regular IPA and stuff because you've already convinced yourself like, I'm not enough. I'm not enough. I got lucky. I've gotten lucky in the past. Like everyone's going to know I'm a fraud. Everyone knows I suck. I'm a loser. I don't think you're saying this. I certainly hope not. Please inbox me if you're thinking this. I'll not be very upset with you. But you get to decide what to believe instead. So you get to decide to believe like, I want evidence. Maybe this is what you're going to believe instead, or what you're going to think or choose to believe. I want evidence of how I'm successful. So I'm going to take the extra step to lean into activity when I feel these feelings, document what I'm doing, and celebrate my wins. Okay? Because action is the only way around this. Because if you have, like I just said, a lot of times when we feel like we're not worthy, we suck, it's not going to be perfect, I'm not the expert I need to be, like, I'm failing in different areas, whatever it is, you don't show up the way that you want to show up. So you sabotage. So what I want you to be thinking about is to recognize when that's happening so that you can say, you know what, I'm noticing that I'm not showing up at all. because I'm worried about it being perfect. I'm not believing it's going to be enough. I'm not believing that it's going to, allow me to hit my goals. And so action, documentation, confronting these feelings with the facts, and choosing something bold to believe instead. And if you guys ever need like power thoughts to believe or something you want to work on, just message me. Like we can come up with it quickly on what you get to choose to believe about yourself. Because I think that if you start flexing the muscle of believing on purpose, you will have no idea what it really does to your activity. Because if you believed what you did mattered, you would show up. Right? If you believed that you were going to be successful this month and that you are going to hit the goal that you have, you would show up. You would show up in a totally different way. But when we fall into things like imposter syndrome, we are believing that, we just have gotten lucky in the past. We don't have the skills, or that, it's just not going to be perfect, or, any variety of what I've shared tonight. You're not going to show up. You might not show up at all. And so it all comes back to your thoughts and what you get to choose to believe. So, I love you. I'm all done. I'm going to stop recording.